Howdy folks, welcome to the channel Rockin' the Country. I'm Don. I do non-pop country music reactions and also reactions to or assessments of country artists in interviews. And that's what this one is. This is Dwight Yoakam on Life in Kentucky. I haven't seen it. It was a gift request from Renee Mooberry. So Renee, thank you for this. Renegade for Dwight is her screen name, affectionately called. And I love that. I'm always going to crack up, I think, that we even do this stuff as adults. Maybe that's what it is to be an adult, is to be silly. Anyway, let's get into this. Dwight is from Kentucky, so I got to swap out my cowboy hat for my Kentucky hat. Kentucky happens to be where my girlfriend is from. We're up here in Jersey. I'm a Jersey guy, and she's been up here, but you would never mistake her for a Jersey girl. Well, parts of her would, but she's from Kentucky. So I love hearing these artists give their takes on what it was like in their life, whether it's Vince Gill, Mo Pitney, Loretta, Tammy, anybody. I just like hearing their stories.
I was born down in Pikeville. We moved up to Ohio when I was real small. We used to come back up and down
that was like
that road that runs out in front of here. Route 23 all the time from Columbus back down to cross there at Ironton over to Ashland and come down.
Hillbilly Highway.
I said, that road's a lot better now. It used to wear me out when I was a kid. It wasn't good for a car sick kid. I used to say we were tail light babies. You saw a lot of Michigan and Ohio license plates headed back this way every weekend coming out of Ohio and across that river up there. And I wrote this about the experiences that I shared with my family coming in and out of here all the time over the years. They learned reading, writing, Route 23 to the jobs that laid waiting in those cities' factories. They learned reading, writing, roads to the north.
As I said, reading, writing Route 23, trying to find a better life for their children in the only way they knew how, which was driving up Route 23 and finding work in factories that paid better and didn't have the risk of them being killed every day.
They didn't know that old highway could lead them to a world of misery.
When he was just little, we would come back just real frequently to see my parents. We lived with my parents for a year. His dad was in Korea at the time he was born, so I came back down here to have Dwight at Pikeville Hospital. And so he was very close with my parents, Earlene and Luther Tibbs.
We would go to Kentucky many times from Ohio for weekends, go down there without my father or my uncle. And, my brother and sister and I'd be in the back seat of a Cadillac with my aunt and mother in the front, doing slightly over the speed limit.
No seatbelts.
Until they hit those severe curves. And you didn't need a state trooper to settle you down in eastern Kentucky. Route 23 would settle you, your tendency to break the speed limit down real quick.
They thought reading, writing, Route 23 would take them to the good life they had never seen.
Why the reading and writing part?
They didn't know that old highway leads you to a world of misery.
The music in the Church of Christ has always been a cappella, where we attended. So it lets you concentrate on your own singing and the words. You didn't have something distracting you. It was all your vocal sounds yourself. And so he grew up listening to singing like that, and everybody, all the kids that could read, they were taught to sing.
Amy ever seen put the kids in the car after work on Friday night. I pull up in a holler about 2 a.m. See the lights still shining bright. Them mountain folks set up that late to hold those little grandkids in their arms, in their arms.
So
Well, I'm
sweet.
proud to say that I've been blessed, touched by their sweet hillbilly charm.
Dwight appreciated all types of music, not just one type.
They learn reading, writing, Route 23 to the jobs that lay awaiting. Those cities
Kentucky's very specifically Kentucky.
they
And
learn
Yeah.
you don't escape that specificity and that fingerprint easily, if at all.
You don't. I said my girlfriend's from there. She's been up here in Jersey 15, 16 years. And she's 100% Kentucky. Hospital she works at, all the doctors know her. All nurses, everybody knows her. Security, everybody. And I think some of them just call her Kentucky. It's just that simple. And that's my girl. I don't like normal. I really don't like normal, and she's not.
They thought reading, writing, Route 23 would take them to the good life they had never seen. They didn't know that old highway would lead you to a world of misery.
What's that misery, though?
Yeah, it turns out that that old highway would lead you to a world of misery.
Heading north misery or south misery? All right, that ended part one. Now I'm going to jump into part two. So it's a continuation of it, I assume. I haven't watched this yet.
But don't forget me, little darling, while I'm growing old and gray. Just a little thought about me before I head off far away.
Well, Kentucky's meant so much to him because he grew up listening to his bluegrass. And when we would come down here to visit, we'd always bring his guitar because his grandpa would always want him to go out and play for him. So he cherishes Kentucky because of his ancestors being here and what he learned from them.
I'll never be able to escape the influence that the joyous and wondrous hollering and carrying on that I heard up in those hills will have on my life forever.
Forget all those promises you gave me and so I'll be waiting on the hillside where the way that you call. On the sunny side of the mountain where the rippling waters fall. Play it more for J.D. Crowley.
I hope that if I've been able to do anything in my life in any small way to pay tribute to my mother and father and their parents, and specifically in this case, in this instance, my grandparents who were from Floyd County and Pike County, Kentucky, all their lives. It's not only just been in the vernacular that I've used in writing, but the intent of that writing, the intent of those voices.
Tell me, darling, you let you ever think of me.
I think fourth grade he wrote his first song, but he's always just been musically inclined.
That culture is unique, and I think that's one of the reasons, because it's not, and I say this to people when they go, oh, you're from the South. Well, no, I'm really from a border state. I'm from Kentucky. It's different than Dixie, and it's unique unto itself.
Don't forget me, little darling, no, our love affair seems gone. When the whistle blows each morning, and I
People who don't like country are missing out on so much. And it's just the rich history. It's not just how the music makes you feel and that it tells stories, but there's so much history in it.
walk down in that cold dark mine, I say a prayer to my dear Savior. Please let me see the sunshine one more time. When the wind will be over, when the wind burns down, and when I die, dear Lord in heaven, please take my soul from me that cold dark ground. I still grieve for my poor brother, and I still hear my dear old mother cry. When late that night they came and told her he lost his life down in the big show mine. Well,
I don't know how I would have viewed the world differently had I not been born into rural southeast Kentucky and that culture, the Appalachian culture, the coal mining culture of that region. But I know for a fact that my life would have been less.
My mother and her family was sent to a singing school. And she said, we learn by the shapes of notes. And so the whole family was a singing family. So when we get together, that was one of our pastimes, to sing. And they would harmonize. They'd have the bass singer and the tenor, the whole works. So he grew up listening to that and appreciated it very much.
Awesome.
Just to rear back and let rip with the abandon that my grandmother would sing with out in the kitchen. I mean,
Really?
to think about it to this day makes me, shiver and it gives me goosebumps because her voice is never on a record, but it is. My Aunt Margaret's voice was never heard on a record, but it is. My mother's voice was never heard on a record, but it is. All those people that I heard as a child that cared for me and gave me the life that I was fortunate enough to have. I hope I'm able to put their voices on the record every time I step up to a microphone and sing.
when I die, dear Lord in heaven, please take my soul from me that cold dark ground. Please take my soul from me that cold dark ground. Please take my soul from me that cold dark ground.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, first y'all can thank Renegade for Dwight. Now you understand, but she's taking us on a journey of Dwight. Dwight's become, Miranda had been, for a number of years, my favorite country artist for the simple reason that more of her songs resonated deep within me, and they still do. Love Your Memory is still one of the most powerful songs that I've ever heard. But since starting the channel and then getting into traditional, I don't know, it's probably 2 years ago or so where Waylon had kind of become, neck and neck with Miranda, let's put it that way, in terms of songs that I like to hear when I hear the artist. But Dwight is now in that company, plain and simple. And that's courtesy of Renegade, Renee Renegade. Renegade, you guys have had some fun with her screen name too. And she's got a great sense of humor, so she runs with it. But I am curious when that song, Reading, Writing, and Route 23 now, and I think I reacted to that a while back, but that was prior to me knowing much about Dwight. But when he sang that, was he talking about the Misery? Is that going north into Ohio? That was the Misery because he was leaving Kentucky? Or is it driving back to it? Um, good, from the family aspect of it, obviously leaving Kentucky would be the misery part of it. So going north would be, but from the work standpoint, which was in the mines, the coal mines, the misery would have been going back to Kentucky. I don't know. And I had read J.D. Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy, when it first came out. This is before he was into politics or anything. And now, obviously, he's the vice president of the United States. That kind of trajectory is just beyond belief. But regardless of what your politics that kind of trajectory. But he talked about the Hillbilly Highway in that book, and that was my first exposure to it. It was really before I was into country music. And I learned a lot, about going north to get work. And then, Dwight mentioned Michigan in the first part of this thing. And Michigan is where the auto factories were. And so there was work up there. Better work, but they got abused too. And they weren't treated well. The miners weren't treated well at all when they headed north. But, they needed Ford and all them, they needed folks to work in the factories that, making the cars. And you had people wanting to do it, willing to do hard work and able to do hard work. When you leave coal mining for that, you're getting a hard worker. So, but Dwight's influences with his family, his grandparents, I didn't know he didn't grow up with his father, not because his father left, but because his father was in the military. But I love Dwight's reflections on things. And I said very early on, before knowing much about Dwight, just by listening to his songs, and maybe after seeing the interview that I did, that Whoopi Goldberg did with Dwight, I said, he's a philosopher. He's a philosopher at heart. The way he thinks, the way he ponders, the way he chooses his words, his thoughts, you can spot one. It's kind of funny. Because I was a philosophy major at Rutgers. I didn't go there to be a philosophy major, but it turns out to have been the #1 philosophy department in the country. Right now, it's like number 3 or 4 in the world. And it goes neck and neck now with NYU. And back in the day, it was Princeton, Rutgers, and NYU, but we've since left Princeton in the dust. Thank you very much. But I took an introduction to philosophy class just thinking it was going to be a gut course, meaning a very easy course that I could just get an A in. And then maybe I got an A, maybe I didn't. I don't remember what I got in that one, but it turned out that I really liked the subject matter. I didn't go there to get good subject matter, but I didn't take the class, but I loved it. And I stuck with it, and I majored in it, and I still think in philosophical terms. I look at things from multiple vantage points, and I'm comfortable with people having divergent opinions from me and mine, because that's just not only life, but they have good reasons. Maybe I don't even understand them for thinking the way they do. But you need to be articulate. And Dwight is articulate. You need to have things to say. Dwight has them, and he ponders things. You could tell by the way he answers questions. He doesn't just blurt things out and shoot from the hip. He doesn't speak in cliches. You can't predict what he's going to say next. So anyway, Renee, that was a blast. I'm not going to rate that. That was just sort of, maybe I'll start a new series titled like Getting to Know the Artist or something like that. Because I'm doing one on Mo Pitney coming up soon, and I'll have some others coming up that I just love doing. Just getting to know the person. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. That is courtesy of Renegade for Dwight, Renee Mooberry. All right, guys, have a great day. See you on another video. Keep rocking the country.
Driving up Route 23 and finding work in factories that paid better and